Hi, this is Belinda, and I help people build generational wealth with real estate. So, today I am going to talk about your first home, which is labeled, most people label it as a starter home. So, first of all, what is a starter home? So, a starter home, just like the word kind of suggests it, is almost self explanatory. Is the home that you use, it's your first home. It's the first home that you buy in order to get into the home ownership bandwagon. And it's suggested to start small, just like with any and many things in life, to start small, and then as you're starting small, then you can build, you can get, to something bigger and better. And then it's just to, so that you can also get acclimated with the responsibility of being a home ownership. Yes, there are so many benefits in being a homeowner, but there are also, with any right, that comes, you also have some responsibility that you have to take. So start with a starter home that will get you into basically the mood, and then just to, for you to also know what it entails to be a homeowner. So most people in their lifetimes, buy, most people will buy a home three times in their lifetime. So the first one would be the starter home or the first home, and the second one would be kind of forever home, and the third one would be their empty nester home. So starter home, you just think about somebody graduating from college or trade school after saving up some money during the college years, and hopefully they have 2 years worth of work experience they can present to the the lender, who can basically give them a loan. But at that point in time, even when you've been in the workforce for 2 years, you're not really making as much money. So you still are in your junior stage in your career, in your profession. So you want to get into the Ben home wagon, and you buy your first home, and you stay in there for probably 5, 6, 7 years. That's probably would be the home in which you get married and probably have one child, or you're on your way on getting a second child, and then you decide that, well, you know what, it's a smaller home and then we need something bigger. And probably your child is at an age now that they can go to school, and you probably are also thinking about school district. You are thinking about also maybe your workplace. Maybe you want something that's closer to your workplace. Maybe at that point in time you have moved, and you have moved from your first job, and then you're in another job. So that will be your second home that you will get, which is much bigger, has more square footage, and then probably two income. It's a two income household where you know that you can afford a little more. And at that point in time, hopefully you are now in a senior position in your work, so you have enough money to afford for more houses, more square footage. And then you'll forever, once your children grow out of the house and they go to college and you become empty nesters, so you thinking about downsizing, getting a smaller home, because you are older at that point in time, and then you realize that you probably do not have the strength or the capacity just to take care, to undertake, to undertake a bigger home, the maintenance that's included in upkeeping and the big home. So you move into a smaller home, and probably, maybe in a community, in a senior community, so that you have people who are like-minded, and have the same work engine, in the same age range. So that's your typically, so this is typically what happens. And I know that, although it's typical, there are situations in which people do not buy the starter home right after college. They may buy the starter home when they're in their 30s or whatever the case is. But I just wanted to highlight some points when you are thinking about your starter home. As I say, your starter home is something that you start with, and don't think about, And this is a mistake that a lot of people do, because I see that in a lot of my clients when they're first time home buyer, and when you approach them and then they want to buy this big fancy house in this nicest neighborhood, and then when it comes down to financing and everything, they just can't afford it, and then they get discouraged, and because that's the area in which they want to live, they want to purchase a home, and it's just that because they cannot afford it, they get discouraged, and then they keep on renting. But the great thing about home ownership, and I did a video about the benefit of home ownership, is once you get into a home ownership, you kind of build equity, and then your equity, as you are paying the house every single month, you're building equity, and then you can have access to that equity to purchase something bigger later on down the line. So you start in a starter home, you start with a smaller home, and may not be in your most desired location, most desired either community, neighborhoods, or towns or city, but you can start in a much smaller, or in the outskirts of the area where you are really looking to buy a home, to buy your forever home. So you look in the area, and there are telltale signs of areas where you may think that the property will go up in value, because that's also one of the things. For many of us, we know that when it comes to real estate, the rules are location, 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 because the prime location will give you a better return on your investment. And the prime location will also help your house value to increase year after year. So you need to find a location, probably a location that's not highly sought after at that point in time, but you can look for signs that tell you that this area is kind of up and coming, or this area, maybe in 5 or 10 years, this area will be much more desirable than it is now. So what you should do, you should look for development. If you see that there's some new development, if you can read the paper about that city, about that county, and they can tell you things that are up and coming. They can tell you that in this area, this is the plan that we have for, this is our 5-year plan, that we will plan to develop new roads, we will plan to develop new schools, that will plan to maybe change this high school, or merge this high school and then create a new high school, or a middle school, or elementary school. These are signs that can tell you that, well, you know what, that area is up and coming, and I should invest in that area right then and there. So as you do that, as you do your due diligence, you find out what's going on in the community, you find out if there's some new development, especially when there are some commercial development going on. There's a new shopping center, there is a new grocery store that's being implemented there. So these are signs that there are something that are coming up, and especially in today's age, when you see Amazon, whether it's a fulfillment center coming there, you know that this is creating job, and people tend to want to live close to their workplace. So that tells you that it's a good area that you should invest in with your starter home. And your starter home, as I say, it's a smaller home. So don't think about the big fancy 5,000, 10,000 square foot. You probably will look into something like 1,500 square foot or 2,000 square foot, something smaller, probably a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. But I will highly discourage you from going to about 1-bedroom, 1-bath, because the resale value on those are not so good. So at least look into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, because that will allow you to have your primary bedroom, and then probably another bedroom where you can either convert it into a den, or a second, or your office, or you can have some visitor coming there. Because if you have to think about, you have to basically be strategic and think in terms of long term when it comes to that home. So when you're staying there for most likely 5, 6, or 7 years, what are you planning to do later on? Are you planning to sell that house? Are you planning to rent that house out? Are you planning to have it as an Airbnb, a short-term rental? So think about those things as you are also trying, as you are planning to buy your first your starter home. So look at those things and look at what makes sense to you, and especially if the price is right, because at that point in time, with your starter home, so you kind of limited when it comes to finances. So what you want to do is you want to get into that home ownership bandwagon, and not only that, but also it enables you to kind of know the responsibilities that come with being a homeowner. That you need to basically know that when something breaks in the house, the only person responsible for fixing that thing is you. It's unlike, when you're renting, the furnace goes down, all you have to do is to call the landlord and then they come and fix it. But when it comes to a house, you have your furnace that goes down, you have to be able to take care of it. When you have your roof that is leaking, you have to take care of it. So it's for you to take on the home ownership responsibility and duties, but you take it in a smaller scale as opposed to starting in a bigger home that will, because in a bigger home, then you have also bigger problem. So when you come from a point of not knowing, not having to deal with them at all, and then you get into a bigger home when you have to deal with it, in a bigger scale, in a much larger scale, that may be a little uncomfortable. So these are the things that you need to do as you are planning for your starter home. And it's just an exciting journey. I really do like working, especially with first-time home buyers, and also to just impart a little bit of knowledge, impart a little bit of wisdom. But these are really the things that you should really look for when you are thinking about your starter home. So please comment, like, share this video, and let me know what you are thinking. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know what you want me to talk about. And I will talk to you later. So this is Belinda, and I help people build generational wealth with real estate.